All right. Is the text in my background image and banner backwards, or is it like
No, that's right.
perfect? I've got to mirror my screen, and so I was like, confuses me because it's backwards on my end.
All right. So I'll put these back in the chat now. All right, we're recording. Everybody ready?
Ready.
Ready as we're ever going to be. Let's see if we can. Let's see if I can remember my. Always got to look up my Facebook password.
Yeah, I definitely don't have mine memorized.
I hate passwords. Right now, I hate computers. Everyone got the cup of coffee?
This is water cooler. I've got water.
Dave's got his 40. All right, I'm not a water drinker. Lemonade.
There's water and coffee, right?
Share to a page. I manage like 8 pages, so let's make sure we get it put on the right one. Go this live on our church or our grocery store page.
That'll work.
I gave him a treat so he'd be quiet. He's usually sleeps till 10. Jack made somebody's action plan one time when we were doing our facilitation.
Ooh.
How'd that work?
He was one of the committee chairs. That's when you know you have spent a lot of time with people and they know your dog.
Mm-hmm.
And see, Dave, you got your banner changed here.
Did that this morning.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. And I left space over here where I can put other logos as needed.
Yeah.
Versatile. I didn't want to put too many across the bottom so I look like a NASCAR driver or something.
Sponsored by. Yeah. So Lindsay, this morning when I was working with Julie and Carrie and 3 others on our team are Scrum Masters. So recently we just started doing these Scrum check-ins daily, and they're 15-minute check-ins. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what our prevention leads need, because, you know, in the virtual space, you just don't have a feel of what everyone's doing. Yeah. And literally these meetings are 15 minutes.
You just kick her out.
I don't know what happened to her.
Jack probably did something. Kidding.
I guess I should probably wait
find out what happened
until she's here.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to say for these questions.
I know. I'm trying to write down notes because if I don't, I'll just ramble.
That's what I'm doing too. I'm trying to just put like bullet points under each question.
Yeah.
Here, talk about this. Talk about this. I know you don't want one-word answers. Who should invest in this cohort? Everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone. I'm trying to get Alex on board to do it.
Oh, Alex would be awesome.
Yes.
I think I have him. Well, he's all about it, but he's got to get kind of in between me and him approval.
Yeah.
But I know Crystal in Region 6 got signed up for the next one. So I'm hoping that's who would approve it for him, I think. So.
That's encouraging then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think folks get scared or shocked at first when they see 15 months. But
Yeah.
when you break it down, it's like, meh, it's like 6 hours. What, isn't it 6 hours a month?
It doesn't even feel like we've been in it as long as we have. No.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So we're launching. We're launching just a generic readers cohort, kind of the same experience, but we'll take some of the prevention stuff out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have that. We have one starting in June, and in that one they're going to do 1 day a month, a morning and an afternoon session, and then we'll start another one in October. So by the time we get to October, we'll have 4 going. Angie, you're back.
Welcome.
Lynn. Yeah. I don't know. Weird. My computer's loving me yesterday and today.
So, okay. So I think I'm ready. I have everything typed in. So here we go. We're going to hit live, see what happens. Setting up your meeting. Hold on.
Hugh Life is live now.
We
All
are
right.
live on Facebook. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at our virtual water cooler. And so today at our virtual water cooler, we're just going to have a casual conversation with Dave and Lindsey, just really around the Prevention Leader Cohort and their experience in it. So let's just kind of start with some introductions. My name is Carrie Terhark. I'm a trainer facilitator here at Hugh Life, being part of the Prevention Leader Cohort. Previously, I worked in drug and alcohol prevention. I was a coalition director of a community coalition of which I live. We had a drug-free community grant and left that really to come to Hugh Life and to learn and to teach others how to do authentic community engagement and to get buy-in from everyone so that we can really make community impact and make change. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Angie, who is also the co-trainer for the Prevention Leader Cohort. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Angie Asa Lovestad, and I do come to you from Iowa. I also worked in coalition work for over 20 years in Iowa. Started with a local coalition, which I led we had a DFC mentoring grant. And then we had our local DFC grant, and we went through 10 years of that. After 10 years of drug-free community support grant funding, we at the state of Iowa had decided there was enough of us that had timed out our DFCs, and it was time for our statewide coalition to look at applying for a drug-free community support grant. And so we did, and we were one of the few states in the nation that actually received a drug-free community support grant. And it was pretty unique because we created this community of prevention. And it was the first time that I was like, together we're better. And Dave, I'm sure you'll talk a little bit about that, what we feel about prevention. And, the only way we can really move forward is if we're really getting everyone's voice. And somewhere along there, one of my mentors, she brought me into this facilitation methods, and I was like, Mother Mary, you just opened up the door to something that I've needed all my life. Well, I put it on the shelf in 2012 and revisited it when we started doing our coalition work at the state. And so this facilitation idea really was what we brought into our statewide work because everyone's voice mattered. In prevention, we cannot go up against all the big things that are going against us. I mean, when we talk about adult use, they're going to be strong voices against us. And so when we had that collaborative voice, I knew we were onto something. And so knowing that we had our 5 years of drug-free community support grant done, Carrie and I both at the same time said, okay, we set our coalitions up with 6 through 10 grants. Not knowing if they're going to get them or not, we decided to leave and bring these methods out to the world through Hugh Life. And for those that don't know it, Hugh stands for Human Understanding and Engagement. So it really is about, all that we were believing in and the work that we were doing with the coalition. So we were super excited to be able to bring what we knew worked for our work out to everyone. And that's me.
Thanks. Lindsey, let's hear from you. Where are you from?
My name is Lindsey Hanlon. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm the Network Prevention Manager for DHHS Division of Behavioral Health. And so I serve as the NPN for Nebraska. through NASDAD. And so I'm fortunate enough to be able to be part of a lot of the prevention grants that come in through the state and help lead and coordinate some of those efforts.
Thank you. And Dave.
Hey, all right. Hello, Facebook. Good to see you all today. I'm Dave Clausen coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I currently serve as the co-director for the Mid-America Prevention Technology Transfer Center. And yes, I've had to practice saying that in the mirror. Mid-America PTTC for short. We provide substance misuse prevention training and technical assistance to Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. And we're housed at ACT Missouri, which has been providing grassroots substance misuse prevention TA for, gosh, like 30 years. Fun little backstory about my prevention journey, as I'll probably be sharing some of the stories in a few minutes. I got my start as a campus police officer at Eastern Illinois University, and it didn't take me long to realize the impact alcohol and drugs would have on the way I did my job. So as I'm starting to build connections across campus, I started to hear about this thing called prevention and prevention science, and gosh, wouldn't that be great if students didn't drink so much? So from there, I went to the Illinois Higher Education Center, which provided prevention training to all 180 colleges in Illinois. And then kind of worked my way up to being a consultant for SAMHSA's Center for the Application of Prevention Technology, which has since led me to my role here at the PTTC. In addition to that, I've got my own modern day consulting company that provides substance misuse prevention training and technical assistance, primarily serving those prevention professionals, law enforcement, and military veterans as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. So just thinking about this prevention leader cohort. So this is a 15-month long intensive, really to dig into leadership and really to think about who you are as a leader, whether it's in prevention. For us, it's specifically prevention for the prevention leader cohort, but how does your leadership show up there? And then through this intensive, it's a small group of people going through this cohort together to really experience it and to share learnings and learn from each other. So let's just talk to the two of you first. But why did you say yes? What made you say yes to this 15-month long intensive journey?
Sure, I can,
go ahead.
I can take a stab at it quick. So I was relatively new to the prevention field. My background, my education background was nutrition. That's always ended up seeing myself working. And I always say that I kind of fell into the prevention world, and it's supposed to be just a temporary finish out a quick grant and go. And I fell in love with it. All of the investment that people have, the passion that people have for it. But I still knew there was some components to the job that I wasn't as familiar with. And so knowing that a lot of the facilitation techniques used on here or learned through the cohort would be helpful for the different statewide groups that I lead. And so I was really excited to jump into it.
All right, my turn. Why did I say yes to the Prevention Leaders Cohort? Well, I told you I like to tell stories, so I'm going to tell a story. Way back when I was in grad school, working on my master's in training and development, I had some classes that these two were my favorite. They were coaching and mentoring, and then facilitation. I loved them. It seemed to be a natural fit, and I started to apply those methods, those skills, even as a police officer, and carried them forward into my prevention world, my TTA. And when I stepped into this role at the PTTC, a couple folks in our region said, hey, you got to meet these gals out of Iowa. They're doing this facilitation methodology and human engagement. And so I jumped on the phone and we just instantly hit it off. Our minds, our work, our methods align. And we've been able to just build a culture of community across the region through facilitation, through leadership and coaching and mentoring. When they said, hey, Dave, we're kind of working on this thing here, and I think it's right up your alley. Checked it out and said, absolutely, sign me up, because I believe in it. And I've already seen over the past, 2.5 years, the impact and power that these methodologies can have.
Because together, what you were saying?
Prevention is better together, and together we are stronger.
Yes. So what's been your experience so far? I mean, I'm thinking back, we've been together for 1 quarter and we are entering in the middle or almost to our end of our 2nd quarter now. So almost halfway through this journey. What's been your experience so far? Lindsay?
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, it doesn't even, you say we're at the end of our 2nd quarter. It doesn't even feel like that. I think at the beginning, 15 months can sound like a real big investment, but it's actually flown by. But my experience so far has been great. The small group environment makes it easy to have some humility to learn these, and it takes practice. Having that supportive environment is just a great area to practice these before you actually put them into implementation. The peer sharing has been great. The people that I've met in other states have carried out into resources that I use outside of this group. I've connected with a couple other NPNs. I've connected with some other folks that are around my area, but I maybe didn't know what they were doing. And so even outside of just the tips and tricks that we're learning, it's been great to connect with other people.
And I think that's an important part. We intentionally are keeping these cohorts to be, a small, intimate group, because we do hope that you become peer sharing and lean on each other. And so intentionally making sure that you got an opportunity to build those partnerships. I'm excited that you actually have been doing that. That's always great to hear. Dave, how about you? What's been your experience so far?
Yes. Well, first off, I got to just build on that real quick, because the Mid-America PTTC, we do believe prevention is better together. And our goal is to build a culture of community across the 4-state region. And by community, I mean just that sense of togetherness, that shared mission, the shared values, the common goals. Doesn't matter if you're a one-person rural prevention team or an NPN. We're all on that same team, and that is evident in everything. The entire design of this prevention leaders cohort is building that community, that sense, that culture of community, and it just gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. So that kind of leads into what my experience has been like. It's been all about connection, reflection on myself, on leadership, on the team, on the field. Gained a sense of clarity, multiple different levels too. If you've got enough time, I'll dig into that. That might be a whole nother session. But then also a lot of growth. Time has gone by pretty quick. It doesn't feel like we've been together for how many quarters now? But
2 quarters, yeah.
I feel like I've grown a lot just in that small amount of time. It's really been cool. Just been cool.
Let's expand on that a little bit. Yeah, go ahead, Carrie. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think for us too, I mean, one, human understanding and engagement. It's all about understanding and engaging humans. And Angie and I are both relationship, we like relationships and connections and learning from others. And so watching, it's been great for us, to learn about you and to learn about our own leadership skills as well, to watch you make those connections and reach out and break down some of those silos and barriers that we've had, between states or between, even fields, and watch this group do that. It's amazing. And I think the fact that it's virtual, is also nice, because you're learning a virtual place in a virtual place, and there's no borders anymore. So it's super cool.
Yeah, we have 5 states, right? Is that what we're made up of in this cohort, which is awesome. I mean, take advantage of the opportunity we have to be in this virtual space, really. We started this journey with a real reflection. The first whole quarter is reflection on self. And Dave, you alluded to that you've really had some growth areas. So talk to us a little bit about areas that, if you're willing, where you've really experienced some personal growth for yourself.
Sure. Well, personal growth. Goodness, it really starts with your individual, your personal why. And I've been able to really clarify and focus what my personal why is. And it's to live and share a life of continued growth so that we may all overcome adversity and live fulfilling lives. So, of course, I'm happy to share, because that's a part of my why. When it comes to sort of discovering yourself, we dove into Lumina. And we should do another live and talk about that more in depth. But it really gave me clarity on really my three personas, my underlying persona, just my natural, who I am at my natural state, how I'm showing up when I put on my hat and go to work in this virtual world, and then also my overextended, or how I show up when I'm stressed. And I've always felt I'm good under pressure. I mean, I've been to Iraq, I've been shot at, I was a police officer, like I'm good under pressure, but I didn't really know what that meant or how that actually I was showing up in those capacities. And so getting that clarity, and then having a coach and then a safe community of like-minded prevention leaders helped me reflect back on that and learn from that and find growth opportunities from that, from when I'm stressed, my everyday self, and then my underlying self, finding ways to where I can live and be authentically me and not pull back on any of those different areas. Just be Dave. Yeah, it's really been fun, and it's still going to continue to be fun as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Dave. The Lumina has been hugely helpful. I think a lot of us are pretty familiar with personality tests, and we've gotten a lot of different results back, and it's always like, yeah, that's me. But how do you really grow from that? And what do you take with that? It's more so a label of here's how you are, now go run with it. But I feel like with Lumina, it's really, you're shown your different levels and how you might change. And I guess that's why I never really fully accepted my other ones, is because it's like, well, I'm not like that all the time. And so when we went through the discovering the self and that journey to composure, it was really eye-opening. And to be able to almost be, I mean, it sounds weird to be vulnerable in that position and be like, that, that is me. And then to take that a step further and look at it in a sense of team building and looking at how the people we interact with and how trying to map out where they might, just being able to really put yourself in another position, since there's, we talk about the different ways of thinking and how people process, and being able to put ourselves in their shoes and how we may come across in a way. And I think in my position to where I am leading kind of a statewide group, and people look to our division as kind of the leader in this area, it's helpful to know how I'm coming off to people and how I can best present information to them in that environment. And so I think when we talk about the growth that it has been, it's helped me be able to take these skills and apply it to these planning meetings or these coalition meetings across the state, to be able to, especially in a virtual environment, given COVID, be able to be really impactful and engage people. And I always tell, my teammates at work is I've never had more engagement in a virtual environment in person. And so it's been really helpful.
Awesome. I hear you. Go ahead, Dave.
I was saying, just like Lumina, like Lindsey said with the Lumina, you get that good picture, but then pair it with the journey to composure, and you can put it into action and really, truly grow. And I know we're just now getting into it through the cohort, but it's the exact same for everything we've been doing. We learn the theory, we learn the methodology, and then we put it into practice. Mm-hmm. We're actually trying, practicing, and learning and growing right there in the cohort too. So it's not just, here's the information, here's what you should know. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. It's intensive, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too that going in. I hope that it is about practice. It's about learning some new tools and putting it into practice. Sometimes it can be intimidating to say, here's a tool you learn, now go do it. But being able to do it in a space with people, a little bit safer, right? To practice with each other and to make mistakes and to learn from each other. I think that's been really great. And I hear you both talking a lot about what Lumina did and how it helped you reflect on who you are as a person, how you are as a leader, how you are when you're stressed and kind of your feet to the fire, so to speak, and how you might show up, and that really being a good indicator of ways that you can improve. And I like, Lindsey, how you also said that it's not a label. It's not about putting you in a box and saying you can only be this, because it's how you answered your questions, but that there's areas for growth, and that it's not either or, but it's both and you can flex and you can learn depending on the situation, and acknowledging and understanding how you're going to show up when you're stressed helps you to think about changing that before it comes out in that way. And so just kind of thinking about some of those other things also that you've learned through this cohort, where do you feel this impacting your work? How do you feel you're going to be different from this point forward as you finish up?
Well, I've got a story if I can go first. Do you mind? All right. So it comes back to Lumina as well, having that clear sense of myself and how I'm showing up, especially how I show up when I'm stressed. And before diving into Lumina and the cohort, I would find myself in situations where I was stressed and I wasn't happy with the way that I performed. I could have done better. I go very people focused, very looking for consensus, and I feel like I'm giving up a part of myself, not being true to me in those situations. And through the reflection and discovering myself and understanding how others might be showing up at that same point, I can now lean into my underlying, my natural self. And I know what I need to do so I can be true to me. But at the same time, when I'm being true to me, that's also being true and helpful for the other folks as well. So I'm happier on the inside, and I'm also more effective as a leader working with others as well in those situations that before Lumina might be a little stressed, might be a little anxious, like not sleep the night before because I know, oh, this is not going to be fun. Now I can go into it cool, calm, and collected, and I know what I got to do. I just got to be more of Dave, be true to me. But I wouldn't have had that clarity and that path for growth and action without Lumina and the cohort.
One thing that reminds me of is another one of your cohort participants. We introduced multipliers. You remember way back when?
Mm-hmm.
And that person is a lead in their state, and they were protecting everyone from all the information and everything else. And with multipliers, we talk about how if you're protecting everyone and not allowing them to know the information, and that's where that person naturally fit, is that they were taking care of everyone. But by not letting them have all the information, they were diminishing the potential that their people had. So we kind of did the analogy of being a shade tree, and that, putting that shade tree over the top of their coworkers or their folks they were leading, they were not allowing them to grow. And so they accidentally were diminishing. And so the Lumina really allowed that opportunity, along with the diminisher concept, to open up new understanding of herself and see some growth. So yeah, I think that's great. Lindsey, how about you?
I was going to say, Angie, I'm glad you brought up that multipliers and diminishers. We've learned so much in this, it's hard to go back and think about everything, but cohort, I have since bought 5 or 6 books that have got delivered. And so I've got a reading list for this summer, but where you ask kind of how we see this impacting our work life, but to kind of pull back that growth piece is, I never, you hear the word diminisher and you're like, that's not me. I'm here in this leadership cohort because I want to, I'm here to build up my team. And as you go through that and learn that, I realized I probably was a diminisher because I'm protective of my team. You see that in my Lumina spark. I'm competitive. I want to win, but I don't want people to feel like they're failing. And so I would find myself getting stressed because I would want to take everything on so that it wasn't ever somebody else's fault, or I didn't want them to think they failed. And in reality, it was like that was holding them back. And so that has really helped to grow. And then I think one of the biggest things is, and I'm still struggling with this, I'm sure Dave has probably seen this when I'm helping facilitate, or he's helped me facilitate things, is learning to be okay with the silence. And so as a facilitator, we're coming in as leaders. And so we're expected to give the information, and people are looking at us like, what's the answer? What do you want us to do? And so to really hold back and just be asking those questions and literally biting my tongue, but I've gotten the best conversation out of it. And I've heard from people that I'd never heard from in meetings. And the ideas that come out are just amazing. And it's so everybody has felt or has left feeling more energized than just, well, here was our meeting, Lindsey talked, and we'll wait for the minutes from it. So
That was a huge shift for me in learning facilitation and coalition work, and being okay with the silence and saying, okay, here's the question that we're gonna answer today, and we're gonna work on this collectively, and everybody just staring at me and finally saying, well, what is it you want from us? You know, what's the answer? What's the right answer, Carrie? What is it that you where are you leading us? What do you want to see in from this? And it was kind of that light bulb for me. It was like, okay, well, I'm not a collaborative leader if they're asking me to answer the question, and they'll just go along with it. And so that was, for me, that huge mind shift, especially in coalition work or community engagement, where it just not about me. It's about me asking the questions and the collective coming together and getting behind it. That's the only way that you get buy-in. That's the only way that you have sustainability, when people are buying into and want to see it go all the way through. And so I like that you brought that up, Lindsey, and you just took one of our skills that we learned in Prevention Leader Cohort and had a workshop with your group. And so let's just hear a little bit about that and how that may be shifting.
Yeah, so it couldn't have come at a better time. I had kind of a presentation ready. So one of the groups that I help lead is our Prevention Advisory Council in Nebraska. And what that really is made up of a group of prevention stakeholders across the state. And it's kind of a forum to not only plan our goals and objectives as it relates to our strategic plan for prevention, but really a peer sharing environment. And so we're coming up on our next strategic plan, and there has been some holdup, obviously through COVID, and just some changes with coalitions. And so some people are just feeling stuck. And so I wanted to have this environment where we had an opportunity to share kind of innovative ideas for prevention and what's new and what can we bring in to kind of re-energize ourselves. And so we used the virtual brainstorming that we learned here on the cohort, and Dave actually helped facilitate on the back end. One of the things that we've learned is you really need a producer in the back end so that you can fully focus on being that facilitator and not trying to run the back end. But it worked out great. I think at first people were like, what are we like? You know, it's normally we come here and we report out and we listen, and it's great. You get to talk with people. And they're like, you're going to use Mural? What is that? We're going to do breakout rooms. And they're like, they was super hesitant. And so I stole one of our sayings from one of our other cohort members. And I said, just trust the chaos. It will be chaotic, and have some humility with me because it's my first time doing it, but let's just do it. And we had so much engagement and that we actually ran out of time, and we had to set a follow-up meeting. And asking people to set additional meetings in this time when people are back to back, people are like, yeah, no, I think I've got almost 3/4 of the group that said, yep, we're going to come back and finish this out with you. And so you could tell there was a lull in it a little bit. And so we had that natural stopping point. But I mean, I got emails and texts afterwards saying, this is great. It's been phenomenal to be able to share. And I've been able to jump in on some other state meetings or some other groups of people that were in there. And I start to see these little like tactics that they're using, that they're pulling. And I'm like, I need to send you to the Hugh Life team to work some more on those skills. Yeah, so it worked out great.
And you mentioned that Dave was there to support you. So
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. And how does she do, Dave?
Yes, did awesome. Prevention is better together. That sense of community that's come from the cohort is awesome. I was able to just say, hey, when's that meeting? Hey, I can make it. Awesome, I'll be there. And was able to help just sort of run the breakout rooms. Quite frankly, it was pretty easy on my part. She did all the heavy lifting and did wonderful. And I'm excited to see how the team continues to grow together as a team. I mean, just seeing the cohesion and the connection from across the state is so exciting. And also on top of that sense of community, talking podcasting on the side, helping folks in some other states that want to launch their own podcasts, and getting connected with some other prevention leaders that aren't in the cohort, but they're connected to those in the cohort. And I don't know, there's just something about having folks you can just send an email to and say, hey, this has really been on my mind. Any thoughts on it? and know that they'll give you great feedback and they care as well. I kind of rambling here, but I mean, it means a lot. It really does.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we have another prevention leader cohort coming up. So in April, we're launching our second cohort. So they'll cohort number 2. We're about half capacity, not half capacity. We're a few spots left. We're over half capacity to that. So we have just a couple of spots left. Thinking of some people that might be listening here and interested. What do they need to know, or who should attend?
Easy, one-word answer: everyone. But because y'all are facilitators, I know you're going to ask. Let's unpack that. Um,
More.
but really, if you work in the prevention field, it would be a great fit because there's a little personal rant, but the way I see it in prevention, we are all leaders. Whether you're a volunteer for a coalition, you're a coalition leader, you work for a regional resource center, all up to the state level, we're trying to lead change to create healthier, safer communities. And what better way to build your own leadership skills, tap into the leader within and empower that leader within to really drive and create some positive change. So yes, everyone.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Dave. I think I see a lot of these skills even outside of the prevention realm. Like this is helpful, but specific to the prevention leaders, yeah, you say leaders, but everybody really in a sense can be. And so anything down to the coalition volunteer level, because these skills are something that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the coordinator or you have to be the director somewhere. And I think Angie had mentioned it earlier, we had to create this community, and prevention, we don't work one-on-one. It's not, I'm working by myself. And so by building this community, and I'm excited to even, get some more people from Nebraska that I work with, because the more people that have these skills, you build upon each other, and it becomes like normal practice in your meetings. And I think anybody that is semi-interested in this, just do it. You'll learn a lot of things along the way, and it'll be helpful. And it really is just, especially in the virtual environment that we're living in now, it has been awesome to help build engagement and investment.
Yeah, and that's kind of how Angie and I, started. Angie learned some facilitation, started, implementing it in our meetings and at our state level at AC4C. And then, as part of our sustainability was to take people and have people go through that facilitation training to carry that on, and not only to carry it on at the state, but to carry it on at the local level, so that what was happening in the collaboration that was happening on the grassroots level was happening all the way through to the state level. And so we have quite a few people in Iowa and that we're working this process, facilitation processes, engagement tools. And yeah, it made the work easier. It was easier to reach out to somebody and say, hey, help me with this, because I knew what we were working on, and we could train leadership at our meetings and have somebody else lead a meeting this time, so that Angie could participate and have her voice be heard. And so there's just this flexibility that comes with everybody being able to step up both in meetings and then go back and step up in their communities. And I think that I think that's important. And you mentioned something that was really great as well, that it doesn't matter if you're in prevention, that these leadership skills carry on throughout. And we're also excited to announce that we have just a leadership cohort launching, going to be in June for Hugh Life as well. So if people are looking and they're like, yeah, but I don't need to connect this necessarily with prevention leaders, but I want to know what this is all about, we're going to have a course for that coming up too, which is awesome. So.
I gotta say too, just kind of popped in my head, this is a cohort, a training, a program, but also what you're getting is a team of coaches as well. I mean, if you think about coaching, folks coming alongside you to help you grow and achieve your goals. I've got a team of coaches now that I can tap into to help learn and grow as an individual. I mean, you're getting a 2-for-1, a training and a team of coaches. Sorry, I just want to throw that in there because I love it.
I love that.
I wanted to touch on something real quick. Carrie, you mentioned the word sustainability, and anybody in prevention that works with SAMHSA grants know that that is a key part of our planning. And even if you get a 5-year grant, they're like, what are you doing with sustainability starting in year 1? And it's always been this like conceptual topic, like, well, what do we do? The grant's done. But the skills that we've learned here, like this is the sustainability. Being able to give this tool to people to use helps them continue on their coalition work, because sometimes I think we see with some of these SAMHSA grants is a coalition will get it, they flourish for the time they have it, and then what happens? And they can fizzle out a little bit. But they can take this and in their community and work with other stakeholders, and that helps them build that sustainability for the programs that they're doing.
Oh, yes. Prevention is about people, and it's best done with people. And if you want to talk sustainability, the people, that's where you're going to get it, is your team, your community. And oh, yep. I'm gonna stop myself from going off on another rant because I'm getting fired up and passionate about that. People are important.
Awesome. Well, we could sit and talk here for hours. I know that, this is a short little water cooler talk, so it's time to get back to our desk and get back to work. But super, I really appreciate the two of you taking the time just to share your experience so far. We're not done. We'll be having more water cooler talks on different topics coming up. And feel free to comment, make your comments below. So for Lindsey and Dave, and they'll follow the feed and answer any questions you have or reach out. But we appreciate you tuning in to our first ever Q Life Water Cooler Talk, and we'll see you again next time.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Hey.